Well, hello there. How are you today? You got my good side? Okay, cool. Well, hi, it's your favorite little lady, Dandy Lioness. And of course, you know how I told you guys before that I got a whole lot of stories? This is another story time. But this one, I'm going to get a little more personable because, that's what we do here. We connect. We actually go on another level and we try to get to know each other a lot better, I guess, get to know me, right? Because, like I've mentioned before, your girl got stories. And when I mean stories, well, that's for another time. But this specific story, I'm going to tell you about my first time. I know, right? Like, why I'm talking about this, why I'm talking about this, is because, I feel that there's not enough transparency on how, your girl, started out in this world as a young lady and, finding herself and being all da la 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 la, But a lot of people who are aware that, I am what some people call an amateur porn star, that thing. I actually do, start out as a very, very, conservative lady, not in the social economical sense, but more or less in a spiritual sense. I did start at very humble places, very non-liberal thinking. But there comes a time in every young woman's life that you gotta grow, you gotta evolve, you have to learn, and you have to be better and do better. So, of course, this one is how I learned to be better and definitely do better, right? So, of course, me, right? I was a young, naive, highly potentialed 16-year-old girl, right? As unlike what most people believe, no, I did not lose my virginity at 12 years old. Like, those nasty rumors that got spread on me, after this story, because it was just easy. It was just easy to come for your girl, because, I was by myself, that lone wolf, you know. I know. But let's keep going, right? And I found myself, experimenting like every other kid around my age, well, a little earlier than most kids, because consider the fact that, I wasn't even in college yet. But, I was experimenting. I was meeting new people. I was engaged in new different activities. I actually took a hiatus from professional dancing. And I was just like mingling, like not in a professional manner where, I was either dancing, singing, entertaining, and all types of things, developing my skills. I decided to actually engage with people my age and, on that level. But don't, Lord. So yes, I ended up meeting in one of these late rendezvous of me coming home from being a teenager. I'm a friend of mine. Who should I call him? Yeah, a friend of mine that from a mutual group of ours. I was meeting up with him to go cash his check, right? And of course, I was just like, just coming off ice. I just finished having a couple of beers with my friends and, smoked a little bit of a little kind of ball. And I'm meeting with him, assumingly just him and a couple of other people that I have frequently chilled with. And he's there with a friend of his, right? Now, this guy, in my personal opinion, on first take and first look, it is definitely kind of embarrassing because especially how the shit ended up going down, it you wouldn't I it threw me for a world too, right? A whirlwind, excuse me. And off of first impression, he was definitely more drunker than me. Like, even though, like, your girl, like I said, as I mentioned before, like, I definitely indulge. He was definitely way more intoxicated than me to where he was practically, like, for lack of a better word, throwing himself at me. And I'm just looking at him and I'm just completely confused because I'm like, yeah, definitely not my type. Like, so it was just weird that, in the coming months, we actually grew to be relatively kind of close. And we got to know each other. It was kind of like what most girls say. I wouldn't say it was love at first sight because that's the goddamn lie. Like, I know how people do it. But it did happen, but not the story. It's not a story. I'll tell you about that later. And as we got to know each other, like we started spending more time together, we ended up spending more time alone. And in those moments of us spending more time alone, the thought started to like cross my mind. Like, you know what? I'm a virgin. This guy is older. Yes, he is. He's definitely older than me. but he's definitely well seasoned. He seems like he's a decent person from, me getting to know him through other friends. And none of my friends actually mentioned anything, which is like another red flag that I thought was, can't trust your friends sometimes. Like the friend that introduced us, he didn't mention anything that I should be concerned about at the time frame. But I was like, you know what? I'm 16. Most of the people that I do know have already lost their virginity. So I was just like, you know what? Seems like a decent dude. He seems like he keep his fucking mouth shut, right? So I'm like, you know what the hell, right? I wouldn't even say it was like sparks. So it was a perfect moment because it really wasn't. I was high. He was high. Like we were just, well, off of weed, of course. And I was like, why not? I didn't say I was going to marry this guy. Like, so I'm just like, I was on my whole woman movement and it's my body and my choice, right? So we end up, escaping from our friends group one night after we all finished smoking, and decided as we're sitting there together, like, started to get a little heated, a little kissing, a little fondling, and initially I was kind of reserved because I was just like, do I really want to do this? Like I was having my own doubts, man, but it was it's normal things that we all go through, right? And as I continued, it was just like, fuck it. Literally, forget it. I don't even care anymore. Like, it's not like it's not the end of the world. Like, I thought. So of course we decided to engage. Like, I wouldn't even say it hurt because I was high. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's kind of stopped it from hurting to begin with. But it was definitely an experience where it was like I barely was like I find myself afterwards as I look at it, and I was kind of like in a stupor. Like that was it. Like. That's this whole major thing that people in my church were telling me that I gotta hold on to so preciously, oh my God, it's gonna be wonderful, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fantastic. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, this was definitely subpar. Like it was, I don't know what the fuck I was holding on to so long. I should have did this earlier. But it, but that of course was my first time. And of course, if I may be honest, there was no real there was floor play, but it wasn't nothing developed to where I, later on in life, grew accustomed to. But it was just something very forgettable, for lack of a better word. Like, it was very forgettable. So it was like, you know what? It's the first time, right? I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm hoping he knows what he's doing. And I'm just like, well, it is what it is, right? But of course, I continue to think back at this moment every once in a while, and initially after developments would happen after that, which come to fucking find out, your boy wasn't even single, right? So then technically I ended up losing my virginity to a fucking cheater, right? So that whole spiral downhill from it being okay, it was nothing that serious. Like it was, it's my body, my choice, and it was so it became like a whirlwind of drama from then on because. Like I mentioned before, he was in a relationship. And then on top of that, not only was he in a relationship, the girl that he was in a relationship was pregnant. So it was like slap to the face. And what could you do past that? It was just one of those things where now as an adult, I wouldn't even say it's a cautionary tale. It was just something that happened because as most girls grow up in their life, and those who don't have all the experiences of relationships and all this engaging activity, it was a learning curve that I had to learn as a female that, not all guys that come off as nice and genuine and they want to make you be that person, make you feel like you are that somebody, actually have your good intention in mind. So from then on, I guess Dandy evolved very, very, very quickly. So where, me and this person, and I'm sad to fucking say it, started to have an affair. If that's even what you could call it, because technically nobody was married, but everybody was fucking, right? I don't know what the hell y'all call it. I know what we call that. What they call it? A situation. It was a situation, right? To where it was just relatively embarrassing at this point because I'm thinking that I, had a connection with this person. And this person was just using me for vagina, for lack of a better word, that wasn't holding a baby. And then even after the fact, I learned that men not the men, excuse me. I'm not gonna just put it on the dude. So be really, not unbiased. People lie, and not only they lie, they can be very deceitful. So, of course, when me thinking, it can't be the end of the world. I thought we were gonna be together. I thought we were gonna have this lovely relationship because as I did mention this. He's leading me on to believe that the relationship with that person is not working out. Right? Right. So it just became and something that started out to be lovely. I wouldn't even say lovely. It started out to be like, you need to pay attention to this, situation. It just became a learning curve, a very, very intensive learning curve. And don't get me wrong, do I regret it? Not really, because I would never have realized that you can't trust everybody that's telling you sweet, lovely things and pillow talk. You can't trust that shit because actions were better than words. And as I continue the story, you would know why. Because, like I said, after I had to discover that this man is a cheater, and now you're making me, the receptacle of your deceit, in a sense. He started to try to do damage control, like what any fucking cheater does when they get caught. He's just like, oh, no, we're not together. We were together, but right now we're trying to figure things out, and I don't think it's going to work, and all types of bullshit that people do when they get caught, right? And me, being naive, I believed it. So I ended up wasting, in my personal opinion, about 6 months of my existence with this individual, thinking that, inevitably he's going to leave her. I know, right? I know. It was the dumbest, dummy. But this is a 16-year-old, 17-year-old me. Like, I honestly had hope in people still. Like, and so, of course, and once I realized that, I was going to inevitably become the mistress, that this dude, I was already the mistress, and that he had no intention of respecting the fact that I deserved to have someone for me and not be sharing because he wasn't man enough to be a man. I decided to let that go. Which brings me on to this other part of the story that was like, when shit hit the fan, So Boyo, of course, Boyo, he didn't like that so well. He did not. In fact, he then began to go to our group of friends that we all hang out with and proceeded to slut shame me for not staying quiet and accepting being the side piece. So, of course, them, believing him, decided, you gotta be some truth to it, right? I know, right? Like, are we all friends? But, of course, because he's the man and they are the man, they totally believed him. Like, that I was the one intentionally out here and I quote, I am seducing him into doing things that he would have never had done if, I was not that kind of person, and tricking him into believing that. But mind you, like I mentioned before, he's in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship, but I'm the seductress, right? And it just showed me that, like, not only like things could flip on a dime, and that it just made me think about that first moment when I first saw him. I'm thinking, like, that dude is not it. That the fact that I totally did not listen to my inner gut feeling on that person, that look where it ended me being slut shamed and being talked down to, and people talking about they come and whip my ass because how the hell do you do that? Like, it just continued to go down. It's the snowball effect just went out the fucking window. But even though now as a grown woman, I don't even sit there and think about it. It always goes back to me, again, being a trusting person to individuals that do not deserve my trust. To where it actually helped me develop more of a dandy's, guard, to where you gotta prove to me that you're worth my trust. I'm not just giving that to you because people are just giving my trust to and just assumed did things like this. Pretty much in my personal experience, if I would say, robbed me of an experience that I could have with a trusting dude, with somebody that, or even a trusting female. But, it's a learning curve, and I get past these things. And that is the story of my first time and how it helped shape Dandelion as she be now, to where, yeah, she's a little battle axe bitch. And this is my story. And if you want to hear more kind of stories like this, put them in the comments. If you have any more questions, I even go more in depth into it. But this is just me collecting, what I get off the top of the head. I didn't even put no notes into this. So let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you've viewed a few other videos before, go check those out as well. And let me know what's on your mind. And over and out.